AITA for immediately cutting contact after my wife demanded a divorce via her lawyer. I am 40 years old. I am a certified welder with my own small business. I started as a pipeline welder at 22, working 80-hour weeks in the North Dakota oil fields. I spent 5 winters in negative 30-degree conditions, living in worker housing that was essentially upgraded shipping containers. Most of the guys spent their money on trucks and at the bar. I saved every dollar I could. At 28, I had enough to put a down payment on a small commercial space and buy basic equipment. I spent my weekends and evenings after my main job setting up the shop, building relationships with clients, and creating a website. The first year was brutal. I took every job, no matter the size. I built ramps, repaired farm equipment, and fabricated custom parts for local factories. I slept maybe 4 hours a night. I made just enough to keep the lights on. The third year, I landed a contract with a commercial developer who needed custom railings for all his properties. That contract allowed me to buy better equipment, which led to higher quality work, which attracted better clients. 5 years ago, I quit my main job and dedicated myself full-time to my business. Now, I have 3 employees, a 4,000 square foot shop, and I cleared $110,000 last year after expenses. My wife, Lydia Callahan, 38, has a sister named Veronica, 45, who has been divorced for about 8 years after her ex left her for a younger coworker. Since then, Veronica has practically appointed herself the local man-hater. She has a comfortable job as an HR director and spends most of her free time telling anyone who will listen that men are the root of all evil, especially me. Veronica started subtly. 6 years ago, Lydia mentioned that Veronica found it weird that I managed our budget. Most couples make financial decisions together, Lydia said casually during dinner. I reminded her that she was the one who literally told me she hated dealing with numbers when we got married. 4 years ago, Lydia started questioning the purchases I was making for the business. Veronica says business expenses should be separate from personal finances. I had to explain again how cash flow works in a small business. Lydia nodded but looked unconvinced. 3 years ago, at a family barbecue, Veronica loudly asked if Lydia had to ask for permission to buy a new dress. Lydia laughed it off, but I noticed her shopping habits changed after that. She started hiding small purchases, removing price tags before I saw them. Tuesday afternoon, I was finishing the blueprints for a large commercial railing project when my phone buzzed. Lydia had sent me a text. "Evan, I want a divorce. All future communication must go through my lawyer, Howard Bennett. His contact information will follow." 14 years of marriage ended with a text shorter than most food delivery confirmations. There were no warning signs that I had noticed. We had dinner together the night before and made plans for a barbecue on the weekend. Everything seemed normal. Well, except for the big argument we had on Sunday night. Lydia had been spending more time with Veronica lately. Sunday brunch, weekday dinners, constant texting. I did not think anything of it until Sunday when I noticed that $5,000 had disappeared from our joint savings account. "Why did you transfer $5,000 without saying anything?" I asked while she was scrolling through Instagram. She barely looked up. "I do not need your permission for every financial move. It is a joint account." "That is literally the definition of joint," I replied. Then she dropped the bomb. "You are so controlling with money, Evan. Veronica says you are financially abusive." I almost laughed. "I manage the business finances and the household budget because someone has to do it. You have not looked at a bank statement in 3 years. See, you are monitoring me," she yelled before leaving for the guest room. I slept alone Sunday night, but Tuesday morning, she seemed normal. Then she destroyed our marriage by text 6 hours later. I stared at the message for 10 minutes. All the emotions were there, rage, pain, shock, but they were buried under a strange, cold clarity. She had set the rules. Lawyer only. Fine. My phone rang. Derek, my friend since high school, owns a local construction company. "Are we still meeting for a drink tonight?" he asked. "Not tonight. I just got a text from Lydia. She wants a divorce. Lawyer only." Silence. Then, "Jesus, are you at the shop?" "Yes." "Stay there. I am coming." Derek arrived 20 minutes later, walked straight into my office, and closed the door. "What happened?" I showed him the message. "That is cold," he said, "lawyer only." You replied, "Just understood." "Good. Listen, 2 things you need to do immediately." Derek leaned forward. "First, call Monica Reyes." She handled my cousin's divorce last year. His wife tried to take everything from him. Monica stopped her dead. Second, secure your finances. Today, right now. If she is starting with lawyers, she is plotting something. Derek had gone through his own messy divorce 5 years earlier. He had lost half his business to a woman who had never set foot on a job site. He had learned the hard way. Then logic took over. Legal channels meant informal financial arrangements were immediately terminated. We had kept our day-to-day finances mostly separate. It was something I had learned watching my dad get financially destroyed in his divorce when I was 16. She had her personal account. I had mine. The business was protected under an LLC that existed before the marriage. Credit cards. Lydia had authorized user cards on my accounts. I logged into the banking apps. Cards canceled. Unauthorized user. Reported. Done. Monthly transfer. I sent $2,500 a month to her personal account since I made about 4 times more than she did with her part-time social media management business. I logged in, and the recurring transfer was canceled immediately. Subscriptions, Netflix, Prime, etc. They were in my name, so I disconnected all devices and changed the passwords. If she wants streaming, she pays for it. Vehicle. The SUV she drives is leased in my name. It's on my insurance. I did not cancel the insurance immediately, as that was too risky legally, but I flagged it to discuss transferring the lease with my lawyer as soon as possible. The fuel card was linked to a canceled credit card. It was useless now. All of this took about 45 minutes. It was not revenge. It was simply accepting the new reality she had imposed. She had drawn the line, lawyer only. Fine. Lawyers work on formal agreements, not assumptions based on a marriage she just ended. Derek nodded in approval as I explained what I had done. Good start. Now call Reyes. Her lawyer's contact info arrived by email an hour later. I immediately forwarded it to Monica Reyes, the lawyer Derek had recommended. I sent an email to Reyes. Message received demanding divorce. Lawyer only rule complied with. Need immediate advice on next steps. Asset protection. Consultation on retainer fee. I finished the blueprints for my client. I went home. The house was empty. She must have left while I was working. I slept in my own bed for the first time in years. She always complained about my snoring. I slept better than expected. Fast forward 72 hours. Friday afternoon, an unknown number calls. I had a feeling who the caller was. Am I speaking to Mr. Evan Callahan? A dry, impatient voice. This is Howard Bennett, representing Lydia Callahan. My client is experiencing difficulties. Okay, I replied calmly. Her cards are being declined. Her access to funds has been abruptly cut off. This is a highly irregular situation, Mr. Callahan. The financial status quo must be maintained during separation proceedings. Mr. Bennett, I said calmly. Your client sent me a text message on Tuesday demanding a divorce, stating that all communication must go through you. I acknowledged and respected that request. Informal financial arrangements have ceased. Any future support requires a formal legal discussion between you and my lawyer, Monica Reyes, whom I have retained. There was a pause. The sound of paper rustling. She needs funds now for necessities, housing. He sounded genuinely surprised. Is she homeless? I asked. Not relevant. You acted in bad faith by cutting her off without notice. Your client unilaterally ended our marriage by text message and imposed the lawyer's only rule. She ended the status quo of trust and communication. Financial support will be determined legally, not through panic calls over declined cards. She was not the primary account holder. A longer pause. My client is requesting emergency financial assistance, he said dryly. That is her right, I replied. Direct all inquiries to my lawyer. Do you have her contact info? Yes, he replied briefly. Good, conversation over. In accordance with my wife's directive, I hung up. She wanted cold and legal. She was getting exactly that while waiting for Reyes's call. This is just the beginning. Derek sent a message. So how did it go with Reyes? I called her and explained the situation. Bennett is panicking, Derek said. He expected you to keep paying while he positioned himself to maximize the damage. Classic. My ex tried the same thing. Stand your ground. After hanging up, I forwarded Bennett's contact info to Reyes. She called within the hour. She was precise and direct. A former prosecutor turned divorce lawyer known for handling high-conflict cases. She asked specific questions about finances, the business, and our history. Your friend is right. she said when I mentioned Derek's advice. This has all the hallmarks of a prepared strategy, not an emotional decision. The text message followed immediately by legal representation suggests planning. The lawyer's only demand is particularly telling. It creates distance while still allowing for claims of emergency support. A week after the text, things escalated as expected. Reyes called me back the same day Bennett had called. She is brilliant. She confirmed that my actions were appropriate given Lydia's message. She advised me to document everything: calls, texts, financial moves. I started a detailed spreadsheet logging everything. It is oddly satisfying. Bennett's first move came on Monday. It was an official request for emergency temporary spousal support plus exclusive use of our home, which she had already abandoned. The amount, $7,500 a month. Essentially, she wanted me to fund her old lifestyle plus a new place plus her legal fees. Expert-level arrogance. Reyes responded. She proposed $1,800 in temporary support based on actual needs, not lifestyle expectations. She noted that Lydia had voluntarily left the house I still occupy. She highlighted the lawyer's only rule and my actions as a direct consequence of her instructions. Then the personal attacks began. Lydia's best friend, Paige, called on Wednesday night. I answered, hoping to get some information. That was a mistake. Evan, what the hell is going on? No hello. Hi Paige. Don't start with the pleasantries. Lydia is sleeping on my couch. You completely cut her off. She could not even buy food yesterday. You are making her homeless. Paige, Lydia demanded a divorce by text. Lawyers only. I respected her request. Bullshit. You know she makes almost nothing. How is she supposed to live? She is panicking. Her social media work brought in $1,200 a month. Money she had before hiring a lawyer without talking to me. I said financial matters go through him and my lawyer. The exact process she chose. You cruel, vindictive jerk. After 14 years. She was emotional. She made a mistake. Giving lawyers only instructions is a very specific mistake. Hiring Bennett was too. Silence. Then, she deserves support. You always took care of her. And I would have discussed it like adults if she had not destroyed our marriage by text and hired a lawyer. She set the rules. We are following them now. So now I am the bad guy for following explicit instructions. The story she is telling is that of a total victim. Then Veronica entered the scene. I received a Facebook message. I hope you are proud of yourself. You forced my sister to sleep on a couch while you keep all the money. What a big man. I did not reply but took a screenshot and added it to the legal file. My phone rang 20 minutes later. Veronica again. I let it go to voicemail. You think you are smart cutting her off like that? Lydia gave you the best years of her life, and this is how you thank her. By being a petty little man. She is going to take everything in court, and you know it. For someone who supposedly hates men, she really wants her sister to keep benefiting from one. Derek dropped by the shop with lunch the next day. Have you heard from Bennett? Just the emergency request. I showed him the documents. $7,500 a month. He almost choked on his sandwich. Jesus Christ. That is more than most people make. Lydia has grown accustomed to a certain lifestyle, I said, imitating Bennett's snobby tone. Yeah, a lifestyle funded by your 80-hour weeks and ruined knees on the pipelines. Derek had worked a season with me in North Dakota. He knew exactly what it was like. Remember that Christmas you worked nonstop because the company offered triple pay? Lydia was furious you missed family dinner, but she really enjoyed the spa weekend you paid for her in January. Yes, I remembered that winter very well. -40 degrees, welding pipe sections while standing in freezing mud. My fingers were so frozen they would not bend properly for days. Lydia got a weekend at a 5-star resort. I got permanent damage to my right knee. That is why I told you to call Reyes, Derek said. She understands what guys like us go through to build something. Bennett probably never had a single callus in his life. I received a bank alert the day before. There was an attempted withdrawal from an old savings account we had opened for a vacation years ago and completely forgotten about. There was about $3,200 in it. Lydia had apparently found the debit card and tried to withdraw everything. The bank flagged the sudden activity on this inactive account. I went straight to the bank. I explained the pending divorce. The account was frozen pending a legal agreement. It is not about the money, it is about the principle. While her lawyer yells at me that I am acting in bad faith, she is trying to go through back channels. Reyes says this actually helps us. It shows Lydia is not just waiting passively, but actively trying to bypass the process she herself demanded. I am also getting messages from her brother Tyler now. We used to be close. I taught him the basics of welding. I helped him get his first union job. Now it is, man, why are you being so cold? It is family. My reply, it was family. Her choice, her rules. I did not get a reply. Another relationship, collateral damage. Waiting for the emergency support hearing date. Lydia is still sleeping at Pages. Bennett must realize by now that his client expected a blank check. That is not reality. I feel less shock, more dark determination. It is going to be hard. And it got even dirtier. Surprising, I know. We had the emergency support hearing last week. Lydia arrived looking stressed. She could not look me in the eye. Bennett argued she was destitute, the victim of a malicious financial cutoff. Reyes calmly presented the text message initiating the lawyer's only rule, the bank statements showing I had canceled the supplemental cards after that message. The proof that I had maintained the mortgage, utilities, lease payments, and insurance, all major fixed costs. The proof of her attempt to empty the forgotten joint account after demanding lawyers handle everything. Her income statements proving she was not destitute, but merely deprived of discretionary funds. Russell, my shop manager who has known us both for years, came as a character witness. He testified that I had always been transparent about finances, never controlling. He said Lydia spent freely, took frequent trips with friends, and had regular visits to the beauty salon. Russell had been with me from the beginning. He remembered when the shop was just me, a welding rig, and a beat-up old truck. He saw me build everything through sheer hard work. Lydia showed up once the business was profitable. He also testified about the night before a major installation when I was sick with food poisoning, but worked anyway, getting sick between welds because missing the deadline would have destroyed our reputation. Lydia had complained I was being dramatic when I got home at 3 a.m. The judge did not buy Bennett's theatrics. He asked Lydia directly why there had been no discussion before the text. She muttered something about feeling intimidated. I almost laughed. I am the calm one in our relationship. The judge seemed skeptical too. At one point, Lydia claimed I controlled every aspect of her life, and she had to escape. Reyes calmly pulled out Instagram posts from 2 months ago. It was Lydia's spa weekend with her friends that I had paid for. The caption, Freedom Weekend. Thank you, hubby. Yes, I am truly the world's worst jailer. Look at her credit card statements, Reyes told the judge. Hair salon, $220. Clothes, $430. Restaurants with friends, $380. All in a single month. All paid for by Mr. Callahan while he drove a 10-year-old truck and worked 60 hours a week. I saw Lydia shrink when the numbers were read. She had always insisted her expenses were normal for a woman her age. Funny how different it sounded in a courtroom. Temporary spousal support was set at $2,200 a month, much closer to our proposal than theirs. It was enough for basic needs and a portion of legal fees, but no funding for her old lifestyle. The judge specifically noted that Lydia's own actions, the text message, and the attempt to empty the account contributed to her current situation. I avoided the worst, but it was not over. Walking to my truck after court, Veronica was waiting with her arms crossed, her designer glasses hiding what were surely murderous glares. This is not over, she hissed as I passed. She should have left you years ago. Funny, I replied without stopping. I thought the exact same thing about you. As I drove off, my phone buzzed. Veronica had tagged me in a Facebook post. Some men think financial abuse is acceptable. Some judges encourage it. The system is broken with a crying emoji. I sent the screenshot to Reyes. Witness intimidation, she replied. Keep collecting. It builds the case. Then Tyler showed up at my shop unannounced during business hours. We need to talk, he said, walking past my receptionist Calvin, who looked at me as if to say, should I call security? I waved him off. I am working, Tyler. Make it quick. You are destroying her life, he said, looking around at my employees who were pretending not to listen. All she wanted was a little space to think. She did not expect you to go on the attack. Space. She hired a divorce lawyer before sending me a text. That is not space. It is an ambush. Could you still support her while you figure this out? He insisted. We are figuring it out legally, like she demanded. Support is now set by the court. It is not enough. It is what the judge deemed fair based on actual needs, not wants. Maybe you should ask why your sister planned all this expecting me to keep funding everything. Planned? He looked confused. Veronica has been grooming her for this for years. Ask Lydia. He left, looking troubled. A potential ally neutralized. Derek came by that evening with drinks and a pizza. I heard about the hearing. Reyes killed it. Yeah, Lydia looked shocked when the judge only gave her $2,200. They always are, Derek said, opening the drinks. My ex asked for $12,000 a month. The judge gave her $3,200 and told her to get a job. She cried for days. What pisses me off is that I would have been reasonable if she had just talked to me, I said. Instead, she waited for an ambush. That is Veronica's influence, Derek replied. She has been telling Lydia for years that you are the enemy. I saw it at your birthday last year. The way she looked at you, like she was collecting evidence. He was right. Veronica was there every step of the way, pushing Lydia away from me. A small comment about my working hours. Questioning our finances to sow doubt. Suggesting that other husbands gave their wives more freedom. A slow poison that Lydia willingly drank. The following week, the real game began. Dirty trick number 1 was an anonymous call to my business, a complaint to the welding certification board accusing me of unsafe practices and violations. Luckily, my shop passes inspections with flying colors. A quick inspection showed everything was in compliance. It was a clear attempt to sabotage my livelihood. Noted. Reyes wrote it down. It was hard to prove the anonymous source, but it adds to the file. Dirty trick number 2. Lydia's parents called. Tears. Accusations. How could you do this? She is hurting. The judge is unfair. Give her more money. Think of the years she gave you. Same answer. Lydia chose this path. The lawyers handle the finances as she demanded. I cannot discuss it. They called me heartless. I hung up. Relentless emotional manipulation. They really thought I would just keep paying forever. My response. Stay logical under pressure. Their tactics clarified the situation. Reacting was not enough. I had to secure my position legally and block all manipulation strictly by the rules. The SUV. Reyes sent a letter to Bennett. Temporary support is established. Lydia must manage the vehicle, take over the lease if she qualifies, or return it. I am stopping payments on the next cycle. The insurance coverage I had maintained will end at the same time. 30 days. It was her problem to solve within the legal framework she created. The house. I filed a motion for formal exclusive use since she left, and the judge did not grant it to her. I started the appraisal process for a sale or buyout to establish clear legal control. Division of assets. We pushed for immediate, full financial disclosure. We suspected hidden assets. It was time for legally mandated transparency. Hiding things means trouble with the court. Documenting the harassment. I recorded every manipulative call and the complaint against my business with dates, times, and summaries. Reyes says this pattern of bad faith influences the final settlement and legal fees. It is not about revenge. It is about methodically managing the situation within the legal boundaries she established, especially now that they are using underhanded tactics. The complaint against my business crossed a line, making decisive legal countermeasures essential. Lydia texted me directly the day before, breaking her own rule. Evan, you cannot take the SUV. How will I get around? I paused, then sent the message to Reyes. My reply, Lydia, per your instructions on that date, all communication must go through the lawyers. Contact Bennett. Silence. 4th month of this disaster. The SUV situation blew up exactly as I predicted. Quick context. It is a 2021 Ford Explorer leased in my name, about $580 a month plus insurance. Lydia has always driven it. I have my F-150 for work, fully paid off. The lease has 18 months left. After temporary support was set by the court, Reyes gave Bennett a 30-day notice regarding the SUV. The options were clear. Lydia could qualify to take over the lease and transfer everything to her name. She could return the vehicle to me or the dealership. Or she could find another mode of transportation. Bennett responded by citing the need for transportation and demanded I continue payments indefinitely as additional support outside the court order. Reyes immediately rejected this demand. Lydia completely ignored the deadline. She kept driving the SUV, probably thinking I would not really stop paying. Mistake. When the next due date arrived, I did exactly what I said I would. No payment. 2 weeks later, A furious call from the leasing company. I explained the situation. I told them I am not responsible for the current location of the vehicle since I do not have physical access to it. I gave them Lydia's information and explained that she is an unauthorized driver refusing to return the vehicle. He was not happy. 3 days later, Paige called me screaming. Repo agents took the SUV from her driveway while Lydia was at yoga. Apparently, Lydia had hidden it at Paige's, thinking they would not find it there. That is what happens when you ignore legal letters and court orders, I said before hanging up. An hour later, I received an email from Veronica. My sister is stranded with no transportation because of your vindictive games. I hope you feel better now, you jerk. Derek dropped by that afternoon. He saw me reading the email. More nonsense from the sister from hell. Yes, the SUV was repossessed. She is losing her mind. He laughed. Remember when I warned you at your wedding? You said I was paranoid. He had done it at the reception. He had pulled me aside after seeing Veronica corner Lydia 3 times. That sister is going to be a problem. The way she looks at you, like she is already planning the divorce. I had brushed it off, thinking it was the alcohol talking. Bennett filed another emergency motion claiming I had caused her to lose the vehicle. The judge dismissed it immediately after Reyes presented the notification letters and court transcripts. The judge seemed genuinely annoyed that he was wasting the court's time. After the hearing, Veronica was waiting again, this time with Lydia, who looked away when she saw me. Veronica walked straight up to me. You think you are smart with your lawyer and your papers? She spat, loud enough for others to hear. Men like you always find a way to manipulate the system. I looked her right in the eye. Unlike you, Veronica, the system does not care about gender, only facts. She turned red. You piece of... Is there a problem here? Reyes appeared at my side, her phone discreetly recording. Veronica stormed off, dragging Lydia with her. Reyes smiled. Another piece for our harassment file. Lydia now uses Uber everywhere. Apparently, her parents drive her sometimes. She tells everyone I took her transportation out of cruelty. What she does not say is that she refused to handle the situation properly for over a month despite multiple notices. I feel bad for the leasing company. They are charging me penalties for the repossession, but Reyes says we can include them in our final demands as damages directly caused by Lydia's actions. It is exhausting having to document every detail, but it is working. Every interaction digs her hole a little deeper. 5 months later, the financial disclosure phase was eye-opening. When we started, Lydia submitted financial statements claiming she had her personal checking account with about $900, some clothes and personal items, and nothing else. Poor, victimized Lydia with nothing to her name. Reyes demanded full disclosure. 3 years of bank statements, tax returns, and investment accounts. Everything. Bennett objected, claiming harassment and unnecessary burden. The judge ordered full disclosure. What emerged was interesting. A separate savings account at a credit union with $22,400. The account was opened 3 years ago. It had regular deposits. There were crypto assets worth about $9,800 bought during our marriage. There were also regular cash deposits into her checking account that did not match her reported income, about $500 to $800 extra dollars most months. And most importantly, there were emails between Lydia and Veronica over 2 years showing a systematic effort to undermine our marriage. A few excerpts. 2 years ago. Veronica, he makes you ask for money like a child. That is financial abuse. Lydia, it is just our budgeting system. I agreed to it. Veronica, classic victim mentality. He has conditioned you. 18 months ago. Veronica, Greg at my office got divorced, and his wife took everything, including his retirement. You should talk to her lawyer. Lydia, we are not getting divorced, Veronica. Veronica, just know your options. Men hide money. 8 months ago. Veronica, does he even know about that Nordstrom shopping spree? See, you are already hiding things because he made you afraid. Lydia, I am not afraid. I am just avoiding an argument. Veronica, it is fear. Normal marriages do not work like that. 5 months ago. Veronica, you need your own safety net. Start putting money aside where he cannot track it. Lydia, that feels dishonest. Veronica, it is not dishonest, it is protection. All men are financial predators. The most damning email was dated just 2 weeks before the text. Veronica, Bennett says to do exactly as we discussed. Text message only, no face-to-face. Demand communication only through lawyers. He will cave in a few days, and you will maintain your lifestyle during negotiations. Men always cave under legal pressure. Guess where those extra $500 to $800 every month came from? Contributions to the safety net from Veronica. The messages did not just show that Veronica suggested divorce. They showed she had orchestrated the entire ambush strategy. Bennett claimed the savings were separate property from gifts from her parents. He said the crypto were independent investments she had researched herself. The cash deposits were small social media side jobs done under the table, all conveniently undocumented. Reyes dismantled all of that methodically. The savings account had been funded in part by transfers from our joint account before we stopped using it. The crypto had been bought with reward points from our Amazon credit card. The side jobs had never been reported on taxes, which raised other issues. Meanwhile, I was living alone in our house, maintaining it, and documenting everything. I had it appraised. It was worth about $95,000 more than the purchase price. Reyes requested it be considered marital property to be divided 50-50, despite Lydia's attempt to claim she had contributed more by decorating. Ridiculous. I did all the renovations, including building the custom kitchen island she loved showing off on Instagram. Derek came over to help me replace the water heater that weekend. So, how is the case looking? He asked while carrying the old unit. Better every day, I replied. Veronica's emails are a goldmine. The judge is going to love it. I told you she was toxic, Derek said. He had always distrusted Veronica. That woman has more venom than a rattlesnake farm. Lydia claims she contributed more to the house because she picked the paint colors. Derek snorted. Yeah, and I invented Tesla because I drive one. She was shopping while you were installing cabinets with a dislocated shoulder. He remembered that weekend. I had fallen off a ladder at work, but still finished the kitchen installation because we could not afford contractors. The anonymous complaint to the certification board backfired on them too. My security cameras caught Veronica's car driving past my shop the morning of the complaint. It was a direct link. Reyes added it to our harassment file. That triggered another social media attack from Veronica. When a man cannot win honestly, he fabricates evidence. Stay strong, sister. Sure. I fabricated her Ford Edge driving past my shop 3 times. Magic powers. Through all this, Lydia played the victim to anyone who would listen. Mutual friends called me, asking if I really left her homeless and penniless. I simply directed them to the public court records. Few called back after reading them. One night, after an exhausting day of depositions, I found a note taped to my shop door. We know everything you have done. It was Veronica's handwriting, according to birthday cards kept in my filing cabinet. The security cameras caught her. Another piece of evidence for the file. I lost some friends who took her side without asking questions. Good riddance. Those who stayed have been surprisingly supportive, especially those who went through similar divorces. My brother has been there too. He lets me vent, does not judge me, and reminds me to go to the gym and stay focused. We are approaching mediation. Reyes thinks we are in a strong position. The hidden assets, the documented harassment, the lawyer's only rule followed by direct contact, and the orchestration by Veronica. It all painted a picture that the judge had clearly noticed. Lydia's victim narrative was collapsing under the weight of the evidence. All right, everyone. I am back with the final update. It has been 7 months since the "I want a divorce" text, and it is finally over. The divorce is finalized. The last 2 months were a legal war of attrition. Bennett stalled. Lydia played the victim, refusing reasonable offers. We were heading toward a contested trial. The judge clearly showed his impatience with Lydia's tactics during the preliminary conferences. Facing a worse outcome and the possibility of paying my legal fees, Lydia finally accepted a settlement. But I was no longer going to accept a standard settlement. Too much had happened. Reyes and I worked out something special. The final settlement. I kept the house, buying out Lydia's share at 15% below market value, justified by her hidden assets and harassment. My business remained 100% mine, as her claims of contribution were completely rejected. All hidden assets were declared marital property with a 65/35 split in my favor as a penalty for concealment. The SUV lease was terminated with $4,800 in fees and penalties entirely at her expense. She received no alimony due to her hidden income, deliberate planning, and bad faith tactics. She is responsible for 40% of my legal fees in addition to her own. And the most satisfying part was a 3-year restraining order against Veronica, which prevents her from contacting me or coming near my business or home. It was Reyes's masterstroke. The day after the judgment was entered, Lydia came to my shop. Calvin called me to the front. She looked terrible. Dark circles under her eyes, weight loss, her designer clothes replaced by cheap clothes. Can we please talk? Her voice trembled. The settlement is destroying me. I cannot pay for my apartment. My credit is ruined. You should have thought about the consequences before the ambush. Veronica convinced me you would cave and fund my new life. Yes, we saw the emails. I am going to lose my apartment, she sobbed. That is no longer my problem. We were married for 14 years, and you ended it with less consideration than canceling a subscription. She touched my arm. I still love you. I laughed. No, you love what I provided. I motioned toward the door. You need to leave. Where am I supposed to go? I think Veronica has a spare room. This is not you. You are not this cold. I adapted to the rules you set. Turns out I am pretty good at this game. As she was leaving, I added, by the way, the emails where Veronica accuses me of financial abuse while helping you hide money are part of the public record. Your friends can read them whenever they want. The horror on her face was worth every cent of legal fees. The aftermath. Lydia now lives with her parents. Her social media accounts have gone silent after several friends discovered the truth in the court records. Veronica was demoted at work. Apparently, making false accusations against a certified business has consequences. The restraining order means she cannot even drive past my shop or home. Lydia occasionally sends messages despite the settlement. The latest, I lost everything because of a stupid mistake. Please help me. I do not reply. The only reply is the automatic monthly transfer from her account to mine for the legal fees she owes me. It's a monthly reminder of the price of betrayal. Tyler stopped by the shop last week. I ignored him at first, but he had read the court documents. I had no idea what she was planning. I am sorry. We are slowly rebuilding our relationship. He is the only member of her family who still deserves a place in my life. Derek came over with drinks to celebrate when the final papers arrived. We sat in my shop, the exact spot where I was on the night of the text. Remember when you were starting out? He asked. Pipeline by day, shop by night. Lydia complained you never took her anywhere. I nodded. Those early years were brutal. 80 hours a week. Lydia constantly compared our life to her friends, ignoring that their husbands were 10 years older with established careers. You built something real, Derek said. Something solid. She never understood what that cost. He was right. For me, it was brutal, costly, and stressful months. But now, I am doing fine. Better, even. The business is growing. I bought a Harley last month, something Lydia had always refused to let me get. I ride it every weekend. It feels amazing. There was no dramatic revenge, just the logical and legal consequences of her choices. The fact that she is in a difficult situation and living with her parents while I thrive is a justice I could not have designed better. She wanted formal and legal. She got it, with all the cold reality that implies. As the sign in my shop says, measure twice, cut once. She measured wrong, and the cut was permanent. Comment. I hope this story resonated with you on some level. It serves as a powerful reminder that setting firm boundaries is not an act of aggression, but rather an act of protecting yourself. When someone else establishes the rules for disengagement, you have every right to follow them with integrity. True kindness must also extend to yourself, especially during difficult times. You can handle a crisis with logic and responsibility instead of giving in to bitterness. Healing is not about forgetting what happened, but about building a new future that you control. Ultimately, choosing your own peace is the most valuable victory you can achieve. You deserve to protect your wellness and find what brings you genuine joy. Remember that your life is your own story to write, even after a difficult chapter. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.